Just to explain this video in a quick 10 seconds, it's just a part of the Surge study series that I've been doing, where I go into a really set game. Like today I'm going into the first game of FNCS Invitationals, and then I'll pick a few teams and I'll see how they all differently dealt with Surge in their own way. It's the very first game of FNCS Invitationals, so like, you know this game is going to be so stacked. Surge is going to be crazy, and this is the interesting thing they do for Surge. But like initially isn't that crazy, but it is good because zone's going to pull back, right? And then if zone pulls back here or here, obviously them being here, congested side here, they're just going to rotate past them, and that's some easy tags. But also what they do is pretty cool, how they are like extremely high up. Like some people might just box here and then maybe break that tree out and they're done, but they go a step further. They do have a lot of time spare, so you just like, you notice how much mats you use like builds up so high, like so high that it's basically they have a mountain, and that just gives them so many more angles. Like look, they can literally see everything basically. So many places you can just turn it from a bad spot to a good spot by just cranking up 10 layers, but you need to make sure that you can get your mats back and it's worth it. But I think what's going to happen is this teammate has max mats, so he's probably going to go up and then he's going to come down and probably refarm. So they always have one person up, and yep, that's exactly what they do. Perfect. So he's just going to refarm now, get his mats back up that he invested in that massive base. That was worth it. And then boom, they actually pull maybe the best zone they could pull almost. You can obviously see here how good this position is. Like it is kind of good RNG, but they know zone's going to pull like back here somewhere. So even if zone did pull down here or away, it will still be fine, because like I said, congested side there, and then they'll run past them being on that spot and they just tag them. So this spot would be good regardless.
Next team.
Now we're gonna watch Kami. I actually did do a video on how they like played their game and their plan in a previous video that I put on the screen right now. So he really likes this spot here. Really seems to base up on there. It's fine. And I think what they do is they just sit in this balloon for ages, like even when they're tanking in zone. And what that does is like people are rotating ahead of you because they want to get zone, but you're chilling here because you have the balloon to rotate and you have a bunch of whites spare, because they usually chuck up spare whites somewhere, and they'll just sit up here looking at people that are desperately trying to get zone ahead of them, get heaps of surge, and then they haven't used any mats, and then they pad all the way into center third. They do just tend to sit in like these bases first, because obviously if you're up here and like in this position, people are going to rotate in, and people like are desperately looking for surge, actively looking for surge, and you're not in zone, so it's obvious to look up here. And obviously you can see people are going to come into them because of congested side and stuff. They obviously don't really sit up here until they start tanking zone, and now they go do the strategy. He goes up on the balloon, now he's up here. It doesn't work out too much for them, or actually technically it does, because the strategy they usually do when they sit on the balloon and look forward for surge on people obviously didn't work out, because now as you can see on the map they can't really look forward at too many more people for surge. But actually technically it did help, because they got to sit here and have the luxury of just sitting here and looking ahead at the people rotating forward that had to get the zone urgently, because they knew they could just use the balloon in their strategy and go later. So technically that's how they got their surge, when usually they do the same thing but with the balloon. And if that's kind of confusing, I just mean like, say you're set up here, and not like right now, like when third zone is just about to pop. I mean like later on, when second zone is like starting to close, like second zone's almost closed now. Imagine it was back when second zone's just starting to close, and there's all the people on the edge here, and then all these people here. They don't get the luxury of the balloon, so they have to rotate quick and way before coming in city. So what Kami City can do is just have the luxury of shooting people forward that are rotating. Also a good thing about that is the people that are rotating forward are just not paying attention to their back, because obviously they can't see backwards while they're going forward. You can notice now third zone's just like third zone's been popped for a while, and now they're going in.
Last team.
And you can notice how like early they're leaving again. Like all these people leave so early, like they're leaving 4 minutes like closing, which is pretty good. Kind of I've noticed like along the way they're kind of stopping, looking for tags, keeping going. Like he stopped there trying to go for a trade, and then they sit in this bush and they get a couple tags going. And I think because of this, they kind of determine, like they kind of refarm here, loot it quickly, and by this time they kind of, I reckon they kind of think like, we're probably going to be too late to go really center and get a good spot. So the next best spot they're going to get is probably this house, because so he builds up heaps. because for them, I think this is probably the next best spot they could get, because I think what would happen if they keep going is they probably get here and they get shot, and they're just being in a really awkward spot where they can't see these people coming in, and they aren't in a good spot for when next zone pulls to see congested side coming in, if that makes any sense. So I think this is the next best spot so they can get like some good surge now, and then they'll be with congested side next zone. So either you get to look at congested side and be out of congested side and tag them, or you have to sacrifice it because you can't get a position like that, and you have to be with congested side and get tags that way. And a lot of other lobbies, like, they would have been fine to keep going and get like a center position easily, but I think they know and they judge by, like, it's FNCS Invitational's first game, everyone's going to be so quick to get a good position, and it's just going to muck them up if they try to get a better position if they're like kind of late. So I think they made one of the better decisions they could have made. And also I feel like a lot of the congested would go this way or that way, just because like it's kind I swear it's like the nature of people to like kind of curve around, just so like you know how you can get like kind of congested side and get in a better spot for next rotate. So I feel like being here, they can kind of see those people going to the left and right of them. Yeah, like I said before, when you can't get in a good spot to hold congested side in a safe spot, then the next best bet is probably just going to be being with congested side, as you can see here. And they're right there, they're like with the majority of the lobby in congested side. So if they're with the lobby and they're rotating, they can obviously just pause and shoot people. It's definitely not as good as being like that team we looked before that's here and just being able to hold them, but sometimes you can't be that team. So that's kind of the next best bet sometimes, just to be in congested side and shoot people alongside you.